Elevator maintenance. Yeah, you got to maintain your elevators. You know, when you're managing affordable housing communities, you're going to have elevators. You know, those things that go up and down. You got to maintain them. Most people don't know, but yeah, it's just another building system that you're maintaining. It's a service that you have that you're providing for your residents. The elevator is very important because what you're going to find is in the affordable housing community, in the affordable housing sector, you will find residents that are they could be handicapped or can be disabled. And that means that they will rely on certain building systems like an elevator to get them in and out of the building, allow them access into their apartment. And what that is called is it gives them the ability to have equal enjoyment of the property, that they can enjoy the property equally just like anybody else. But in order to do that, they need an elevator because they might not be able to access their unit using the stairs because they might have a disability. Disability could be in a walker, it could be in a wheelchair. They need an elevator. So that's why the elevator is very important that you are maintaining your elevator. I've worked at, I'm coming on 10 properties that I've worked at, and 3 of those have had elevators. So I've seen many different kinds of elevators, okay? There's different kinds. There's the old school service elevator. Very, very small, tight, buttons are kind of like old fashioned. They probably have 2 doors, one that's outside, one that's inside. Those are like the old school service elevators that they had. So I've used those. Those ones, you need to maintain them. They're kind of hard because they're old elevators. But usually you would have an elevator contract, an elevator company. And this elevator company, their mission is to service your elevators. So it's a monthly contract that you're paying with them. And it's definitely worth it because they'll come out and they'll take care of whatever elevator problem that you have. The elevators, they break down. They're kind of like vending machines. And I'll make another video about vending machines too and why you should have vending machines in your affordable housing property. But elevators break down just like the vending machines and they need to be serviced. So there's that kind of elevator, the old elevator. There's also the hydraulic elevator. So hydraulic elevator it'll usually have a big room with a big hydraulic system that's what lifts up the elevator, goes up and down. So the big room will be next to the elevator and it'll have a huge machine in there. And those are the hydraulic elevator. They also have regular pulley elevator. That one not so big. That one's just a pulley system that lifts the elevator up, lifts it down, and then the room that has all the equipment for that elevator is much smaller because it's just a pulley system. So there's that type of elevator. Make sure that you get in touch with your elevator rep so that you know who this person is, because when the elevator goes down, it's a big deal. Okay, it's not something that like, oh, the elevator's down, yeah, we'll get to it. It's a big deal because what if the resident has a doctor's appointment? What if the resident has to get somewhere and it's life or death? What if there's a freaking fire and you cannot get the resident out and nobody knows the resident's there and the resident fucking dies? Do you think about that? That's why it's so important to have the elevator functioning, and the minute it breaks down, you gotta have the emergency contact of the elevator company so that they send a rep out, and you call them and you keep calling them until they come out, and they will come out. They'll come out quick because they know it's an emergency. They know people rely on it, but somebody has to inform them. Someone will inform you, don't worry. If the elevator breaks down, someone will inform you right away. If you see it breaking down, you'll know. One of the things you can do to mitigate these things is that when it breaks down, you want to call somebody, you want to schedule, you want to have somebody come out to check the elevator. But also write a letter, put it on all the elevator doors. Go to each floor, stair by stair, put a letter on each door, let them know, hey, sorry, the elevator is under service, it's broken right now. We've called somebody and we were going to have it fixed ASAP. Just so everybody knows. So if they try to come use the elevator, at least there's some kind of information for them and they're not just like, oh fuck, like the elevator, so what am I gonna do now? So that's very important to have that in place. Make sure your janitorial team is going into the elevator and vacuuming the carpets in there because the carpet gets nasty in the elevator. Okay, so make sure they're cleaning that out in there. Elevator permits. So when you have an elevator, when you have the moving elevator system, fuck, what was it called? I'll think of it later, but there's a specific scientific term that they refer to as the elevator. Not compliance, but something with a C. I'll think of it later. But that specific permit, that's what the permit is called for the elevator, to have an operational elevator. So you have that permit, so that permit will come from the state of California, or whatever state you're in. That the state has its own elevator monitoring company. They'll come out, they will check your elevators in compliance, and they will give you a permit. Now, you need to look at that permit, because that permit has an expiration date. Check the expiration date on that permit, and make sure you call them and you schedule the inspector to come out before the thing expires, so that you're not out of compliance. 9 out of 10, they're gonna be backed up, so they're not gonna be able to come out. But what you can do is you can request a temporary permit. That means that you have made an effort to have the elevator inspector come out to inspect it, and that they're backed up, so they have to give you a temporary permit. And you need a temporary permit because if another inspector comes by, they're gonna give you a hard time because your elevator permit is out of compliance. Well, they're backed up, there's nothing I can do. You can get a temporary permit, and that'll help mitigate that, so that at least somebody knows that you're working on it. The inspector will come out, the inspector will inspect the elevator. You gotta fix certain problems. There are certain problems you have to fix. It might be electrical, they might want you to clean the elevator. Sometimes if there's a lot of gunk and stuff that gets stuck in there, the elevator door won't open because it scratches. Keep an eye out too for scratching on the door. If you see that the door is scratching, particularly where the door closes, if you see that there's some kind of friction there and it's leaving scratching marks, then you got a problem. That means the elevator is not lining up correctly. The elevator works like a big key. I don't know if you know this, but a key, when you put the key in, the little teeth in the key, they push cylinders up at a certain angle, and that unlocks the door. So the elevator is the same way. The elevator has to lock perfectly, line up perfectly for it to click in, and then it'll work. If it doesn't work, it's a safety feature and it doesn't work. Okay? Sometimes you gotta go above and beyond. Okay? Sometimes there was a time when the elevator was filled with water for 2 stories. And we had to go underwater to unplug it because it was flooded. So I had to get some scuba diving gear, and I had to dive down 2 stories underwater to figure out where there was a blockage of why the water wasn't draining, and unclog that drain and then surface. All the while they're holding the elevator so the elevator doesn't fall on me. Sometimes you got to go above and beyond, but the elevator is very important. It's very important that you keep the elevator functional. Inspector, permits, keep it clean, the buttons. Oh, also the make sure the button is connecting too. There should be a phone inside the elevator that'll connect in case you get stuck in there. Make sure that is connecting to a live person. Your elevator company, contract company should be able to help you that. Get their card, you know, make friends with them. This is what we're talking about, building relationships and maintaining your elevator. There's power in there, so make sure that the lights work.